Hey guys, today I have a process video for you using the March-April 2017 Quirky kit, and it's called something like Rainforest or Canopy. I can't remember which, one of them might be the embellishment kit. And I'm using this leafy paper and I'm using this leafy photo for a kit that's about forests because I take things literally. And I decided to cut kind of circles out of it and then do sort of watercolour around it. In greeny bluey colours in a diagonal cascade, because when in doubt do a diagonal cascade is what I say. The video might look a bit odd because I'm using a different phone and it was heavier than my normal one and my support isn't very strong, so that's why at the beginning it swung to the side. Here you can see how I arranged my circles, and then I'm going to watercolour around this. These are my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours. They're from Japan, but you can get them on Amazon. They're very reasonably priced. I think Rona uses them sometimes, so that's when you know they're good. And I marked where all the circles were, so I'd kind of have an idea of which bits of my painting were going to be covered and which bits were going to be shown. And you'll see I'll put my photo back at intervals just to see how it's all looking, if it looks alright. So that first kind of line at the top right, that went on quite thick. I wanted to use quite a lot of water. I think probably a bigger brush would have been better for this. And you'll see later on I use the packaging technique, which is where you put watercolour onto a bit of packaging with some water. Because I don't want it to look too brushstroke. I don't mind it being a bit brushstrokey, because that's what I was doing, but I didn't want it to be too brushstrokey. And I also used quite bluey colours rather than bright green because the paper is in more blue shades, and also the photo has got such a bright green. If I use a bright green in the background, it's too green. I think I've been influenced by Inky Quill. If you watch her, you know she's not a fan of green, and therefore I am not a fan of green because what she says is law. No, it's not, but... And you can see that when I've put some paint down and it's gone a bit too thick, I just go over the edges with some more water. I'm trying to keep the paper fairly wet, and because it's not watercolour paper, this does make it curl. I'm not too bothered about watercolour curling. My only issue is it makes it hard to take photos of the page because all the edges are wonky. But it's going to go in a page protector anyway, and then it'll stay flat, so it's really not a big issue for me. And like, it's not a work of art, it's a scrapbooking. Well, some people's scrapbooking pages are works of art, but mine isn't. And I'm doing it for the memories, I'm doing it for fun, so I don't care if my paper is not completely flat by the end of it. And in the kits this month, the cardstock is textured, and I actually much prefer that to smooth cardstock because I quite like using watercolours and I really like the way watercolour looks on it. And also I quite like leaving white space, and I think white space with the smooth cardstock is a bit too plain for me personally. So here you can see how I'm just putting my circles back on, and I see, oh, you know, the paint's not coming out enough to the right. I need to do it more so it's poking out the other side of the circle and stuff. And then I'm going to, I think, take everything off again and then splatter a little bit. I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race while making this layout. It's amazing. Yeah, those are my splatters, and splatters stay wet for quite a while, so I put the layout to the side while I do some layering and things around my photo, so that's what I'm doing there. Yeah, it's quite an odd angle because I have two desks, and you're starting to see the second desk, and usually I try to avoid that in my videos, or if I'm going to have the second desk, I'll at least have some of my embellishments that I keep on the right on display as well. At this point I could definitely have gotten the watercolours out of shot and that would have given me a lot more space, but when did I ever do anything sensible? And this cardstock is such a gorgeous teal colour, I really love it. It gives such a nice pop behind the photo. That's pretty much my favourite thing to do with cardstock. Either that or challenge myself by making a bright piece of cardstock the background to a layout. So before I do the thicker layering with pattern paper behind the photo, I add the border. And honestly, I could have left it like that because I have the watercolouring, but when I start a kit, I quite like to get into the pattern papers. And you'll see in a second, yeah, I got out all of the pattern papers and I kind of flicked through them because when it's a new kit, I'm not very familiar with what's in it. And I like to really have a feel for, well, sometimes I'll just dive in and grab the first paper I see, which is pretty much what I did with the leaf paper. Other times I'll look through it carefully and find ones that match the rest of the layout and stuff, which is what I'm doing here. And I didn't want to do OTT layering because the focus is on the background and the circles and stuff. So I just cut out two pieces and they're each slightly more than half the width of the photo, and one's slightly bigger than the other. So they go around each other and it's kind of peeking out. It's hard to explain, you'll see it in a second. And I am all about the rough cutting, and later on when I look back at my layouts I want to cry because the edges are so not straight, and I actually really like straight edges, but life's too short to use a paper trimmer basically, or a ruler, or even take some care while cutting. Yeah, so this is what I meant. That piece went just over half, and then this piece goes just over half, and the green piece is slightly bigger. There I'm just dabbing away the splashes because I'm impatient and I wanted to finish, well, not finish, I didn't manage to finish it that day, but I wanted to continue working on the layout, and I didn't want the paint to get on my pieces. And I did have some problems gluing things down because the Pritt stick doesn't work that well on wet paper. Sorry if my voice sounds weird, I just really want to yawn. It's my first week back at school. Now you saw the sudden change in video there. The other one was my mum's new phone, which is meant to be better at videoing, and this is my old phone. So once this video is finished, I'll kind of compare them and decide whether it's worth using my mum's phone for videos. My audio is already not great. I said in my last video I tried to use my brother's microphone. I went and got it, and I don't have a microphone socket on my laptop, so I don't even have that option. So I just apologise for this audio. But it's so much easier than recording on my phone. And and I forgot to say I had to cut out an entire video because it was out of focus the entire video. I used some vellum hearts, butterflies, I used the L Studio letter stickers, and I used an arrow paperclip kind of pointing at our heads. And I couldn't think of a good title, so I called it Garden because we were in a garden. I'm just not a title kind of person. And I've noticed recently my layouts have been very monochromatic. I've not done colourful layouts much at all. You know, if the first paper I use is green, the rest of them are going to be green, and I don't really know why. So I used some of the Nouveau Jewel drops on my butterflies to make them stand out a bit more. The ephemera got some cute little words, and I wanted to finish it off with some puffy stickers, and these puffy stickers are adorable. They're really nice and small and dainty. There we go. Today matching the colour of my cardstock and paint, and a feather matching the colour of the today, because you can't have different colours, of course not. And I think the last thing I do on this layout is a little bit of journaling, and it basically says we went to a garden, which you probably could have gathered from the title, but I'm trying to make a point of journaling on layouts as much as possible. And that is my finished layout pretty much. I'm going to sit and have a ponder about it because I'm not very good at finishing things, but there's there's going to be a blog post about this layout too, so if I forget something, it'll be on there, and there'll be close-ups after the video, and my Instagram's linked down below. So there's a view. You can see the texture looks nice, can't you? Thanks very much for watching. Bye!